knows what's going on. It's Preacher. And let's find out. Why did I choose the warrior? Why? Why did this happen? Many of you came up with all sorts of speculations, ideas. He must know something. Has he researched something? Has he got tips on the inside? Was it because of this or that? Or is it because he hates something else? Why the hell did you choose a prot warrior? Because it's not number one in terms of, you know, cooldown statistics, mathematics, and all the Simcraftian type stuff and all that kind of shit. So it came down to a basic process in my mind. Firstly, I said this in the tanking review video, who was my partner? A Brewmaster. A Brewmaster was my partner. So 2 Brewmasters doesn't work. So we'll go with not a Brewmaster, right? That's out of the list. Honestly, I wouldn't have chosen a Brewmaster anyway. As much as I love the design of the class, long term, not really for me. It doesn't feel tanky enough in terms of gameplay. Not that it's not a good tank. Don't read that into it. It's just the gameplay style doesn't suit me as a tank. It's very fun, very interesting, very nicely designed class. But in terms of a raw tank, not for me. What about a druid? You know, I don't like druids in this current expansion. I want the Guardian to have an overhaul for me to be excited about playing it. So that's out. Simple enough, right? Dead easy. Moving on to Paladin. The Paladin is a wonderful spectacle. It is. It's a wonderful spectacle. And I want you to understand that all the tanks are viable now, and I went into the decision with that knowledge. So it wasn't about the stats. It's the gameplay. That's what really interests me. And the Paladin gameplay is fun for a little bit, but it's far too spammy to just constantly firing my fingers at the keyboard. And that doesn't tickle me as something I want to do on a regular basis. I want to be more interested in other things than tracking miniature cooldowns. So that's out. It really came down to 2 things. The Blood DK or the Warrior. And that was sort of a less than 5-second thought in my head. It was going to be a Blood DK or a Warrior. Blood DK, why was it not the Blood DK? Or why was the Blood DK so high on the list? And when I say high on the list, I geared my warrior with auction house stuff very quickly. And was like, oh, I should have done the Blood DK. I should have done the Blood DK. Maybe I'll still do it. I was willing to double down and spend probably around 700,000 gold in total on doing both my warrior and my Blood DK. Because I was kind of thinking I should be a Blood DK. Well, the problem is this. I don't enjoy playing my Blood DK, honestly. And it comes down to that feeling of not being a tank. And that's important to me. It's not important to everybody, it's important to me. I want to feel like I'm a tank. And the Blood DK doesn't feel like a tank to me. It feels like what it's designed to be, which is why I talked about the tank thing. It's a DPS that is tanking, and that's how I feel. It's supposed to be that way, and some will disagree and say, well, I feel very tanky. Cool, I don't. It's as simple as that. I just do not feel that way when I play my Blood DK. I feel like I'm playing the old two-handed Frost DK, essentially, and just doing the same thing. Crimson Tempest is like getting the Freezing Fogs, and so on and so forth, and the old Obliterates, blah, blah, blah. And when Bloodstrike was a thing. Yeah, never forget, Bloodstrike was a thing for Frost once upon a time. So that's how it feels to me, and that put me off it. So in that respect, the Blood DK was never in competition. The issue was my raid team in my guild has no Death Knight. We have no DPS Death Knight, and the guy I was replacing, who was going rogue, was a Blood DK. So we were losing our Death Knight. That was the situation we were going to be in, was we were going to be without a DK. Gorefiend's Grasp. I am so particular about my tanking. Really particular about it. Every time I go in there, I'm constantly trying to reevaluate how better can we do this? Can we do it slightly better? Is this positioning right? Should we pull this back? Should we do it in a different room? Do we need to do that? Is it safer? Is it just a waste of time? All these kind of things go into my head. And Death Balls is something I've talked extensively about in the tank training guides I've done for you guys. I love making great Death Balls. What happens in WoD is there are a lot of mobs who lose aggro, like the Guardians, and we're talking about trash on most occasions here, that lose aggro, charge about. Grips are amazing for that. There are certain bosses where Grip and Gorefiend's Grasp are absolutely crucial, and it was down to basically these 2 spells, Death Grip and Gorefiend's Grasp, and their utility. During Blackrock Foundry, doing Operator Thogar without a DK was just a nightmare on Mythic. We wanted that because it allowed us to create improper death balls straight away, and that allowed us to better transition the fight. If any of you have ever done that fight on Mythic, you will know how much easier that fight is, especially on splits and on various other moments when you have Gorefiend's Grasp. We even had it to the point where one of our tanks switched over to his undergeared DK because it made the fight that much easier. It just made it so much easier to control. Also, AMS. I think I need to throw AMS in here and how powerful AMS is and how powerful their cooldowns are. As much as I don't enjoy the gameplay particularly, their cooldowns are really, really good. They are. There's no getting away from the fact that the myriad of options that the DK has to deal with things, in a practical sense, makes good tanking. Right? If you use them correctly, you get really good, strong results. Difficult to ignore. Certainly better than Shield Barrier. There's no doubt about that. When comparing, say, Rune Tap, or Vampiric Blood, or even Dancing Rune Weapon, AMS, AMZ, Gorfian's Grasp, Death Grip, and you're stuck there with kind of Leap, and no real way to gather a bunch of mobs. You got Mocking Banner, which is kind of just, you know, it's a taunt mechanic, really. It's no competition. There is no competition there in terms of practical usage. And that was really dragging me down in my decision. I was like, oh, God. What to do here? What to do here? And it wasn't until basically my current co-partner tanker said, you know, if we really need a DK, then I play my DK and you don't have to worry about it. And I was like, cool, sold. That's all I need to hear. I'm done. All right, fine. It's going to be the Warrior. So why the Warrior? I am a Warrior. Simple as that. It's one of those things that takes you years to find. Luckily, I discovered that I was absolutely a warrior player in terms of the World of Warcraft warrior in vanilla when I capped him. I was a priest as a raider through all of vanilla. I never got to raid on my warrior. I did raid a lot secretly on someone else's warrior. Sorry, account sharing heroes. Yeah, I was there. When those guys were like, well, I can't raid tonight. Do you want to raid on my warrior? I was like, yeah, I want to raid on your fucking warrior. Let me in. And started doing some sneaky tanking and all that. I was like, dude, I fucking love this. I love it so much. I really enjoyed the class and had so much fun. But, of course, in vanilla, being a warrior, there was usually like 6 or 7 warriors per raid, at least, you know. Especially when we got up to Nax level, where we were like, well, we kind of need 8 warriors now, and they've got to be already geared in Nax gear, and we're not going to gear up an alt, blah, 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 blah. All those kind of things came into play. Plus, I was a very good priest. And one of the issues, no doubt many of you have run into, is that when you're a good player on a certain class, people don't want to lose you, especially the raid team. You suggest you might want to reroll, and they're like, I kind of want you to stay on your priest. And they make it difficult for you. And plus, I was a youngster then, so I kind of bowed down to the will of the guild. Well, being a warrior is my longest played class, especially prot warrior. And it seems strange to say that because I haven't really been a main prot warrior since the end of Wrath of the Lich King. I wasn't even a prot warrior through all of Wrath of the Lich King for the various reasons that I had to re-roll. One was switching to a druid because our other tank was a prot warrior and it made sense for the tanking team. Hated it, wanted to go back to my warrior within the first week. Was no secret to anyone. And then I ended up being a warlock, and then I had to for a different guild, and then I came back to be my prot warrior when I was kind of done with that. Throughout Cataclysm, it just didn't work out. The guilds I was in didn't need a tank, and I wanted to go DPS. I was kind of maxed on my tanking, and the challenger kind of left me. And so I went over to DPS, which was the current top challenge in the game as far as I was concerned. Mists of Pandaria ruined my warrior. So as much as I would say I'm a warrior, love it, absolutely fucking adore it, couldn't play it in Mists of Pandaria, disliked every single spec, thought it was awful. And then WoD came along and the tanking. I'm not saying I'm particularly fond of the DPS style, certainly Arms is just dreadful. Fury I can tolerate. But the prot warrior, I was like, you know, I can kind of get into this. With the talent system and the way the spells work, I don't like Shield Barrier, but everything else about the warrior is still there, especially the huge mobility, which I've been a fan of since TBC, to pinball around Muru's room and all that kind of stuff was great times for me. The opportunity was there. So I wanted to be a warrior. Absolutely wanted to be a warrior. The numbers and stuff didn't really matter. It really didn't. And I think this is an important lesson for any of you. Is if you are looking to re-roll, stop looking at the fucking numbers and stuff. Think about what is it you want to play. What do you want to play? Sure, if your class is diabolically bad, or your spec is diabolically bad for whatever reason, it's just been ignored or whatever, then yeah, you can start thinking about something else. But ultimately, you just have to pick on what you want to play when you log in. Out of all the current tankers, the warrior was the only one I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I just want to log in and play my warrior, and I want to enjoy it, and I have fun with it. It's not the most difficult spec for me. I can play it with my eyes closed because I've got fucking like 7 or 8 years of experience of being a main warrior. So it's not about that. It's purely that I love the class. I feel like a tank when I've got my big sword and board out. It plays like a tank when I'm slamming my shield and doing all that kind of stuff. And Revenge, which, you know, works on the tanking abilities and all that. It suits me down to the ground. As much as I'd like to say that I did some mad research into every little nook and cranny of where the tanks were at and what the encounters were going to be doing inside Hellfire Citadel, it wasn't anything like that. I followed my own advice for once and went, you know what? I want to be a warrior. It's nothing more, nothing less. I love my warrior. I'm more than happy to go back to him. So I will. So I will. So I said to the guys, I want to be a warrior. As much as, yeah, would Gorfine's Grasp and stuff be better for the raid? In some occasions, sure. But so far, it's actually worked out really well. Really, really well. Because warrior has been awesome. I've been able to do loads of stuff on my warrior without much issue, and I certainly have not had a fight where I'm like, oh my god, I can't handle this, and I would be if I was on a different spec or a different class. So for that reason, that's why I went with it. You gotta do what you gotta do. I'm a warrior in this game. I might not have played it for a long time, but this is my favorite class in the whole game. And I was sad that I couldn't play it. I remember making a video at the end of Mr. Pandaria where I was angry, physically angry, that I hadn't been able to play my warrior because they changed it into something that wasn't a warrior. But now it feels like a warrior again. I'm glad Vengeance is gone, because that really put me off, and I'm glad I'm able to think purely defensively, purely how to help my raid, and how can I make my class do that. Swapping talents and all sorts of stuff on various fights all the time. I love the talent system. The Prot Warrior for me in WoD is amazing. It's amazing. It's been one of the better places it's been for a long time. And that's the reason, guys. Simple as that. Alright, guys. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.